Hello and welcome back to the Talking Wolves podcast. I'm your host, Matt Cooper, and today we're joined by two of the regular guests of the Talking Wolves podcast. We've got first and foremost Dave as a party. How you doing?
Very well, mate. Trying to forget about yesterday's game, which I'm sure we'll talk about, but other than that, keeping well. Yeah, all good.
And Finn, how you keeping, mate?
Yeah, back to being depressed about football. Felt weird for a long time, but apart from that, I'm all right. Yeah, all good, thank you.
How bleak of a week has it been? Especially with all the travelling as well. I know that Dave, you did Arsenal, didn't do West Ham. Finn, did you do Arsenal? You did Arsenal as well,
I
didn't
saw you at both.
Yeah. It's been a long week, mate. I've slept since then. Not pretty well, mind. I did both as well. These away days are always quite taxing, but when you lose both of them in quick succession against two top 7, top 8 rivals, then it's a bit of a kick in the bollocks. But anyway, we shall be discussing those two games. We'll be looking forward to the Palace game. Looking forward, we'll be previewing it. Not so much looking forward to it. A little bit of a quiz, your questions, and then we'll wrap it all up. So let's start with the Arsenal game last Thursday, Dave. I came into it thinking we could really get something from the game with the fuel that had been added to the fire from the previous game and Neves' comments, etc., etc. I thought the lads would be fired up, and it looked like they were when I took the early goal.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, like you say, it was an interesting one because I thought we weren't particularly fantastic against them at Molineux. But we came into it with decent form historically at the Emirates since we've been promoted. I know, Finn, you said it a couple of times before the game that you hadn't seen us lose there. But yeah, and it was a dream start really from Hwang, wasn't it? Just, capitalising on their error. But yeah, I think the approach was just all wrong. I could sort of see it and what Bruno was trying to do. But against Man City, if you go 1-0 up, against Liverpool, if you go 1-0 up 5-6 minutes in, then fair enough. But I think anybody else in the league, you've got to still, at least try and attack. And we didn't do that at all. And it was a pretty disappointing performance, frustrating. I think even at half-time, I'm thinking, I'd be very surprised if we get 3 points out of this game with the way we were playing. I think Lacazette, although he didn't score, and although his end product wasn't quite there, he was causing Cody all sorts of problems. Martinelli the same, Saka the same. I think Ødegaard's performance was quite underrated because he was just finding the pockets of space in between the Wolves defenders. It was just an absolute nightmare for Wolves. So, yeah, frustrating one, to say the least.
I remember saying to you, Finn, when I saw you at half-time, there is absolutely no way we get anything from this game. And if we do, then it's a joke because they absolutely battered us. We offered very little. I know we had the ball in the net before we scored, but we were just penned in for 90 minutes, and in the end, Finn, it kind of rang true that we got exactly what we deserved.
Yeah, and I suppose we've done a lot of long trips this week, but you didn't have to go to the police afterwards, like you said on my video, because it would have been a robbery that we'd need to report if that one. Yeah, we had a few chances, didn't we? Just after, I felt like we capitalised on the shock that Arsenal had. Like Jimenez dragged one, which apparently was quite a good chance. I didn't really see it, and unsurprisingly, I haven't watched the highlights back. So
I haven't.
No, yeah. Have you watched West Ham either? I haven't watched anything, mate.
No.
Post-match, yeah.
No reason to.
No, yeah, been a tough week. I've seen Hwang's goal and I've seen Ben White tripping up Jimenez, and that's about it. I'm sure we'll get into stuff like that later on because us boys got on Arsenal TikTok as well, didn't we? That was another proud moment for us. So we won't be discussing more Arsenal ref decisions. But no, yeah, I completely agree with what you were saying. I haven't really got anything to add. They look good. I was scared, and it felt a lot like, as Dave said about me never seeing us lose there. It felt a lot like that game where we took the lead. I think it was a Jimenez header. And then that goal felt inevitable, and it was quite a dodgy goal that they got. I think it was Mkhitaryan at the time, but unfortunately, another one followed. I think it was too late that first time, whereas this one, they still had a good 10 minutes to pile on the pressure. And we got what we deserved. So although it was a tough one to take, it didn't feel unjust. It felt about right.
Second time in my lifetime I've gone to the Emirates, and they've done us with like a 96th minute winner. The last time was Nicholas Bentner when we had Mick McCarthy.
That's a mistake.
Yeah, I was only a little lad, and it was just like, it just triggered like a flashback that I thought I'd suppress for many years.
Was that the Milias one? Which one was that?
No.
It could be, actually.
Remember.
I can't 1-0 that game, I think, when Atwell sent Milias off. That's when I saw him refereeing the Carabao Cup final yesterday. I thought, nah.
It was
that
the
game?
3rd of April, 2010.
Could.
3rd of April
You're right,
2010. So the Wolves team that day was Marcus Hanneman, Elakobi, Craddock, De Berra, Zubar, Mancien, Kevin Foley, Carl Emery, Jones, Jarvis, and Doyle.
Mate, what was that midfield then? Mancini in the middle with Carl Henry.
It would have been Jones with Jones there. David Jones. I'm not sure what the line.
What formation is that? Because Foley right mid as well, mate. That is a horrific line. That's why, and I know like this is a bit of a meme, but like when you look at that team in contrast to what we've got now,
Carl Emery got sent off, which has come to a surprise.
Did they play 2 centre backs at wing back as well? Is that? I'm sure we'll get onto that.
No, I don't know. I'm looking at that team. Then that was an absolute shocker, but probably still would have done better than the team that we put out on Thursday. Dave, what was the problem? I know that we've identified that Arsenal was just pressing every time we tried to take the ball out wide and play out in the wide areas and create those 3v2s that we do really well. Arsenal was squeezing up on us, and we just didn't have the I say bravery, but also the technical skill to kind of get round that press.
Yeah, I think, when we actually pressed, when we pressed and when we attacked, they looked a little bit quite weak, to be honest, defensively. But I don't know what it was, and it's been the same, not just for the Arsenal game. I would say probably the Leicester game and probably the game against West Ham, which we'll go on to, where it's almost as if we've got a line of defenders and then a line of the attackers and then just completely no one in between, because there's no link up between any part of our squad at the minute, like in terms of getting the ball, starting the ball from Jose Sarr to one of the centre halves. Both centre mids are miles away from it, and then all the forwards are miles away from them as well. There's just no, I don't know what it is. There was just no options on whatsoever. And I've noticed it in particular the last few games. We're pretty good at it, trying to play the ball out of trouble at the back, trying to play out of defence, which is sound. But when you've got no options there whatsoever to link up to, you're then going back to Jose Sarr to punt it up just to give the possession back to the opposition. And that happened quite often at Arsenal. So overall, it was just a really frustrating game. But in terms of 50-50s and so on, I thought Raul was pretty disappointed in those. I'm not expecting him to win every single header against Ben White or against Gabriel. I'm not saying that, but just it looked like there was no energy and no urgency whatsoever from Wolves. So overall, just sat too deep. It just looked like we didn't want it, and there were just like odd mistakes here and there, as if like, I know I tweeted about it during the game, but just like mistakes where it's as if Jeff Shee's come in and said, "Actually, lads, we don't really want to get Europe like this season. So if you could drop a few clangers this game, it'd be sound." Because it was just silly, daft mistakes that have been quite rare from us this season.
Like when the way that we play, we get the ball out to left centre halves, left and right centre halves, and then out to the wing backs. You'll always find that as that ball comes into Aït-Nouri or Semedo, Martinez or Neves will go across to kind of make the angle for the pass. And every time that ball went out to Aït-Nouri or Semedo, you could see that it triggered with Arsenal. It was right, that squeeze up. And Martinez and Neves can't resist the press. They're just not those kind of players.
No.
Someone like Hanas Sanch would have been absolutely perfect for such a game.
Mate, he was good the other day against. I only watched the 5-10 minutes against Chelsea, and it was like flipping it. We could do with that. It was just like almost a mini Adama. Can get the ball and then just drive you about 30 yards up the pitch. It was Sanchez, but I agree, Matt. The wing backs, and then it does make me wonder. Obviously, we're going in at 1-0. Huang comes off. Semedo obviously comes off injured. And that obviously this isn't a dig at Johnny, but as soon as you change one of the pivotal parts of your back five and your squad overall, can that affect things? They attack that left-hand side so much. And I don't know whether that was, like our left-hand side, I don't know whether that was because they spotted Sace as a weakness or Ryan Aït-Nouri as a weakness. But if I'm correct, both of the goals came down that side as well. So I just don't know what it was really, but it was a little bit like me in the 90th minute, a little bit like at Wembley. I just stared into the air, just like, fuck, what have we just done? How are we thrown this away?
I said to you, I was just like, you got exactly what we deserved there. That's why I wasn't I wasn't angry with the way that we lost. Obviously, like, you're in a stadium, you're giving it loads to each other, and you're annoyed because you've got to walk out the stadium now and you've just been dicked. But it's exactly what we deserved. And like, obviously the manner of defeat, the way we've lost it is annoying, but we can't complain because it could have been way more. On another day, Like it could have been 4 or 5, but I think the real kind of takeaway from this game was that Raul Jimenez just isn't up to scratch at the minute. I said this, and it's probably almost a bit of an archaic point in a very Sunday league, but if I'm Jimenez and I'm coming up against Ben White or Gabriel, I'm thinking I'm going to get fucking stuck in here because these pair won't want it as soon as when it starts to get rough and tough. But he was second to absolutely everything. I'm going to come to you, Finn, because I know it's going to kill you to say it, but he was miles off it. Miles off it.
I really prefer not to. No, this time I've got to address it now. Especially like what you were saying there as well. Like Ben White, I mean, he can tan himself and had a few tattoos. He's still not very scary. I know he's tried his best joining Arsenal, but you can see like there's still that little Brighton boy in there, and you can get at him. Gabriel, hothead as well. It's not even like you saw any sort of any way to do either of them, and it was a bad game. I think there was a chance as well that I mentioned that he blazed wide, which I didn't see, but apparently that was a good chance as well. And he just doesn't look the same. I agree with exactly what you were saying on the balls out. The balls out were punted up to Jimenez, and I don't think he won a single header, bless him. But it's got something we've got to address now. The heading aspect of his game just seems to be gone, which you can't really blame on him. But it's not a single one in maybe 10, 15 punts up the field.
No, but you can't blame him for it. But when it starts affecting your job, then exactly. We're not saying it's Jimenez.
Exactly. Yeah.
The thing is, though, against Leicester, I thought he did really well aerially, and he was winning these flick-ons and everything, like against the likes of Soyuncu and so on. But against Arsenal, it just seemed like he was scared to get involved in it.
I suppose it's the scene of the crime as well, isn't it? Like maybe I know it's maybe going a bit.
Somebody else mentioned that. I do wonder, yeah, but. I thought he did well against Leicester with that.
I don't even think it was aerially though. Like even balls up to like feet or chest, he was miles behind them, and like they weren't particularly bad balls. But Gabriel and Ben White were aggressive in making sure they got there first, and it was
didn't get a sniff, did we? Yeah,
he just perhaps it's great defending, but we've seen it so many times already this season. And then you see Fabio against West Ham, who could hold the ball up. I don't know, he's playing against Zuma, who's a better defender than White and Gabriel, but. And a more of a specimen, but he put himself about. And
I agree.
For me, as a centre forward, not saying I'm a centre forward, but for me, if you've got a centre forward, the minimum you require is for them to just put themselves about. And unfortunately, Jimenez hasn't been doing that. And I know that people will say, "Yeah, but he's our top goal scorer. Yeah, he's our top assister." But Wang's our top goal scorer, and the bloke's been out for 2.5 months. So what's I think that there is a wider issue with the team in creating chances, but we have to address the elephant in the room, which is Raul Jimenez, unfortunately. And I think there will be a Raul Jimenez conversation come the summer, don't you, Dave?
I think it completely depends on our league finish. I think if we get European football, he stays regardless. But if it gets to a point where we don't get European football this summer, and it's not just going to be a conversation with Raul Jimenez, it's going to be a conversation with the likes of Ruben Neves, Jean Moutinho, obviously with his contract up. It could be a huge overhaul for the club in the summer. And obviously for Bruno Lage, he could have this kitty of money to rebuild this squad, which obviously for him would be good because he can build the team that he wants. But yeah, the Jimenez thing it's frustrating, but I can't put my finger on exactly why. Like I've said to you, yes, we're talking about him not scoring goals, but I don't think he's missed those chances. Against Arsenal, of course, he's had 1 or 2. I think the first one, like you said, Finn, I've not seen it back, but it sounds like he should have done a lot better with it. Came close with the header at the end of the first half. But for me, the effort just wasn't there at Arsenal. But then we look at the Fabio Silva performance. I was going to say the same thing as you, Matt. He's not scared to get into the 50-50s. He peels off these defenders quite well. We saw it against Norwich. I think he was unfortunate 2 or 3 times to get penalised in the FA Cup against Norwich. Bodied Grant Hanley a couple of times, and I think he got robbed of a couple of chances there. But then the same thing. Yes, he's worked hard, but he hasn't been able to create a clear-cut opportunity. And is that down to him, or is that down once again? I think it doesn't help because he had flipping Keanu Hoover and Trincao on the right-hand side. But again, from the midfield, there was just no support and no no service. And I think that's the same case in Jimenez. He's not had the service this season at all.
Yeah, and I think Silva and Jimenez, to caveat that, do play slightly different roles. Silva is willing to peel him beyond, whether that's tactically or just something.
I think he looks a lot sharper, by the way, Silva. I think a lot of people used to say he was dead slow. I think he's got a little bit to him now, and he's sharpened up a lot as well.
We'll come on to his performance at West Ham because quite a few fans did piss me off after that game by singling him out and just him, considering he was probably the best player on the pitch for us outfield after Jose. So we'll come on to that. But yeah, it does need addressing. But I absolutely love Raul Jimenez, and we said it on the review with you, Dave. You know, we love the bloke to bits. We want him to do well, but it needs addressing because he's not. Almost at the minute, he's not playing with 10 men. And in games like Arsenal away, tough fixtures against a team who I think will finish in the top 4. You need a focal point. You need an outlet, and I think it stuck more with Daniel Podence and Hwang. But they did more in terms of making it stick up there. But it was just aimless balls keep getting pumped up. And, you know, Jimenez isn't going to hold up all of those. We expect him to at least have a go. But like Sace, Cody and Kilman were sloppy in the distribution. It was just hit and hope. That's 2 games now, Cody, in a row where his distribution has been absolutely wank. And if you take that away from his game, he's almost redundant in having him there.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought against Arsenal, he got spun a couple of times.
He did, yeah.
I got twisted and turned a couple of times, but yeah, just the back three, which is unlike them, man. They've been quite sloppy, haven't they? And I think that's obviously it doesn't help the Arsenal game. Obviously, we lost Semedo sort of halfway through the second half, but it was the same in the first half anyway. But the West Ham game again, which we'll talk about in a minute, was it the same?
It's really sad to see Semedo come off because, you know, he's been, for me, along with Jose Sarr, probably player of the season. I think he's been outstanding.
He's underrated for sure. He doesn't get spoke about enough you know.
But you realise how much you miss him when you take him out of the team. We've seen Johnny coming on against Arsenal, probably not match fit, looked like he was playing in concrete boots. I think as most players would after you know, 2 cruciate ligament injuries. And then we saw Hoover on Sunday, who runs a little bit like a baby giraffe. he's all like trying to run down the wing. And
I thought he won a competition to play yesterday, mate. I don't know what's going on there. He was dreadful, absolutely dreadful.
Yeah. He's a young lad, but that deal's looking quite strange, isn't it? Jota going the other way and Hoover for £10 million. But yeah, to round up the Arsenal game, though, if you had to pick one of the match, Dave, who would it be?
Man of the match, mate. I've tried to forget it since then. I don't think I can give you one, mate. If I'm honest, I don't think I can give you
Finn, one. If you give him an mate, I'm kicking him out the.
Sarr made a good few saves and he scored an own goal, so he's out of it. Anonymous midfield. Hwang scored a goal but did nothing else. Thought Aït-Nouri was all right going forward, but they did attack him defensively. There's no standout, is there here? I'll say Semedo because he kept a clean sheet.
Neto came on, of course, who missed.
It's our first podcast since his return as well.
Yeah, it is. Of course, it is. It's a shame that we can't kind of be really positive about his return. I think he's come on and not change game. He's had an influence, but you can't expect him to come and hit the ground running. We said this. And when
I think he's come in and it's as if he's not being injured though. Like the way like the Leicester game, the way he was driving up the pitch with the ball was like flipping heck. Like, you know how sometimes you could tell a player just come back from injury and quite safe with their decisions, but it was class.
Very, very false. He's all strapped up, isn't he, on his knee? Well, I think he's going to be. It's quite a bad injury. That patella was it shattered patella or something like that he fractured?
And kneecap or something like that. Yeah.
So we had one of those in Portugal, didn't we?
What's that?
Fractured patella.
Just talking to the Leicester game before we move on to the West Ham. The BetMate winner for this one, 114 participants in that game. So huge turnout. Jamie Savoy was the winner with 67.5 points, who took home £123. So it's not a bad Sunday for Jamie. Decent.
What's his name? Jake? Is it Jake Levers, the guy that smashed it the other week?
Yeah, I think so. He's I think
He's been bad now, probably.
Yeah, that's a bad. I did say to the lads at Bet, mate, is there any way that me and Dave can have like times 10 on captain and vice captains, because we are absolutely shocking. We are absolutely shocking. I'm still yet to like finish anywhere near like the top 4, top 5.
In the Wolves ones, I'm all over the place. I think the Leicester game, just looking at, I finished 68th, mid-table, but way off it.
I finished. This is 59. No, not 59. Sorry, I finished 26th. So
no, Leicester one.
That's all right. I'm getting there slowly, but then in the West Ham game, I finished 59th. So almost crashing back
19th in the West Ham one. 19th.
Yeah, 36 in the Spurs one. But let's go on to West Ham, lads. A game that I think I was one of 50,000 who really couldn't be asked to be there, and I know that Dave, you didn't go, but Finn, it was pretty much pre-season friendly vibes, wasn't it?
It was the strangest experience, mate. It was so strange. I'd been before. I think I went with Dave actually to the Adama game, like the West Ham one. And there's a little bit more of an atmosphere. Obviously, one of the first games of us back in the Premier League and all that, and nice and sunny, and just felt like a good day. And I still felt weird that day. But then when there was nothing on the pitch, I warned my parents. I said, it's so weird, especially when, like we were, Matt, in that upper tier, you feel so far away from the action. Then when there's nothing happening on the pitch to even spark anything, I think there was sort of like a chicken and egg thing where we weren't singing. They weren't giving us anything to sing about. It's not even like someone had a shot and you can go, "Si, senor," or anything. Like, there was nothing, mate, absolutely nothing. And it felt, my mum said, I don't feel like I'm here. Like, it doesn't feel like there's a Premier League game of football going on in front of me. There's no one giving it back apart from one bloke in a balaclava. I don't know if you saw him, Matt, to the left.
On his snood on his phone.
Yeah. Very strange.
Giving it green
very,
street.
Yeah, very. Yeah. Just some kids go, "Shank you, blood." But,
we had that at Arsenal. both
Giving me timbers.
Yeah. Both Dave and I were told we were going to be stabbed and shot coming out the ground at Arsenal.
Well, yeah.
It's not really what you want, is it? I mean, we've just been dicked. Like, you could do without it. But you are right. Like, especially walking through like Westfields, I felt like I was in the metaverse. Like, you walk through Westfields, you get to the ground, you got like big city in the background. I was like, I've not been to West Ham before. I've been to Olympic Park when the Olympics was on, but I was just like, this place is like it's so strange. But no sound from the home end, no sound from the away end. It was a fairly nice day. It almost felt like this is like Celta Vigo away, Celta Vigo at home. Like, we have like those friends. It was so strange, and the fact that you're so many yards away from the pitch. Dave, you've been before, haven't you? It's such a weird stadium.
Yeah, I've said to you, I say to everyone when they ever say, "Oh, you've been West Ham," I say, "Yeah, it's like an arena. It's nice, I can picture the Olympics there, but as a football stadium, it's not it, is it? It's not it." But yeah, like I said to you like before, that it was strange. There was times when I was watching on the TV yesterday, I was just waiting, like you would be able to hear a pin drop. It was like that quiet, and I saw Spears tweet about it, like, because there's 50,000 people here and like there's no noise. It's strange. Heard the odd chant from the Wolves fans, but that was it really. It was
a few cats in the away end atmosphere. Well. We took a few cats knocking about, but that was the.
Well, the woman, someone come up to me at Arsenal and said, "Have you got an inflatable cat?" I was like, "What are you on about?" She was an inflatable cat for West Ham. I was like, I didn't even know it was a thing. And then there was loads of pictures of people holding up these inflatable cats.
Yeah, I think Newcastle did it first. He had a really good game. He had a really good game, Zuma.
It was class.
Brilliant. Yeah, he was.
Let's talk about the lineup. So Sarr, Sace, Cody Kilman, Marcel, Dendoncker, Neves, Hoover, Hwang, Trincao, and Silva. When I saw that come out, I don't know, something didn't sit right with me. I think if you're going to play Hoover, then you've got to play Ait-Nouri on the other side, because that just to me just screams shut the shop. But is it something about the players being in the red zone? Too many players on the kind of brink of a potential injury, Dave?
Yeah, that's what I didn't really cross my mind yesterday afternoon, but I've seen since then that's pretty much what's been said, due to having the Arsenal game so soon before. Just a case of rotation. And I've said the last couple of weeks, I thought you look at our squad and then look at our subs bench. I think in terms of squads, now with players available, before obviously the Semedo injury, you could argue it's one of our strongest ever squads as a club. But not when 3 or 4 of them are on the pitch at the same time, to be honest. Kiana, Hoover, like I say, you lot know that I'm a pretty positive guy. I'm pretty fair with everyone. But once again, I just don't understand. Like, he had a very, very poor game. And I appreciate he's not been able to start properly or not played a good amount of minutes probably since right at the start of the season. He had a couple of minutes against Liverpool, but he was injured for the FA Cup, got COVID, I think, for the FA Cup third round, so didn't play in that game. So a good bulk of minutes. You're probably looking sort of Leicester at home at the start of the season. So Leicester away, sorry, at the start of the season, but he just looked so awkward on the ball. He had no technique about him. The players looked scared to pass to him as well. The amount of times he was free on the right hand side, then didn't pass the ball to him. It was a strange game. But then Trincao as well. Genuinely, I wouldn't be surprised now to see that as the last time we see Trincao wearing a Wolves shirt.
Say that though.
Everyone, poor, mate.
Yeah. Everyone around us, we're fucking out, Trincao, fucking you. Like, you know, he's like the new scapegoat. But in the first half, apart from when he went off the pitch, I don't know what. Do you see when went to play the ball to him? It was like
miles off the pitch.
His controller disconnected. Anyway, it just like circling the air. I don't think he was any worse than anyone else in the first half. Like, I really don't. But of course,
I disagree.
Say again.
There was some just the basics, mate. Like, there was one where it wasn't. I said at the start of the season he's never going to win a 50-50. It was an 80-20 with Declan Rice, and he didn't even go. Yeah, that's the things that are going to annoy the fans when you don't even go for the ball. Because when like you say, when he had there was a few nice touches and a few little La Liga spins, as we'll call them now. But yeah, it's not Premier League player, is he?
Yeah, like that when you shoot out of a tackle, or you got to bust him up there. You got to get him too, like. But you have, like, I know it's like cliche, but like again, it's the least you expect to want to get stuck in. But I personally didn't think he did any worse than anyone else in the first half. Personally,
I agree. I agree with him. Every 50-50 he lost. Every time there was a ball that was free in there to be won, he didn't go for it. He was playing like he had steel toe cap Timberlands on. Like, the way his first touch at times was crap as well. I'm just looking at it, I'm thinking now with Hwang, Pedence, Neto, it wouldn't surprise me to see him, and also having the option to go 2 up front. It wouldn't surprise me if Bruno never plays him again.
And why give him the opportunity if that's him? If Bruno's gone, right, this is your chance. He didn't play like he wanted.
That's why at the start of the game, you look at Kiana Hoover, Marcel, Dendoncker, Fabio Silva, Trincao. You think, you look at them and say, right, this is your chance now. And none of them, maybe Fabio, none of the others took it. So,
yeah, I mean, Trincao was, he was the 3rd best presser for Wolves. I mean, put that in the trophy cabinet.
That's question 1 of the quiz gone.
Alongside nutmegs.
Yeah, a couple of nutmegs.
Got a few of them for free, to be fair. There's 1 or 2 nutmegs in yesterday, to be fair to him.
Yeah, he was very poor, but the whole team were, and you know what? West Ham was shite. Like, they weren't very good at all. But they did the basics right, and then you just had Antonio peeling away onto Kodo every single time. And you knew exactly what was going to happen. I think when Antonio came up against Kilman did all right, personally. But that's the only limitation with Cody, isn't it? When, again, like I said, when his distribution is poor and it was sloppy as fuck on Sunday, it was bad. It's almost like, well, what does he offer in that team apart from his leadership qualities? Which for me at the minute, we've chucked away a lead at Arsenal, and then against West Ham we've kind of almost even been scared to come out. But Dave, it was such a conservative approach, wasn't it, from start to finish? Even when we were goal down, it was no one wanted to force a chance, no one wanted to take a risk, and they looked like a team who was scared to play.
Mate, 93rd minute. Well, for one, I was surprised only 3 added minutes, but 93rd minute when you got Kilman and Cody passing it across our own edge of the box. What are we doing here? Well, that was the same for the whole of the first half. somebody had said to me, he said, yeah, we're sitting deep because they are a counter-attacking side, which I can get. But you don't sit on the edge of your own box and just invite the pressure because they've got players capable. You saw that with Declan Rice. You saw that, all they need is a deflected shot and win a corner, and you got all the big boys that can come up for that. Like, we just invited way too much pressure, and it was just such a disappointing performance. But again, like I said earlier, there was no outball. Like, every time Cody, Kilman, or Sace had the ball, for one, we were inviting pressure straight away because we were trying to play it out of defence. But there were no midfielders there. They were scared to pass it to Keanu Hoover. Marcel, like you said, doesn't really have that sort of attacking quality to bring the ball forward. There were just no options. I think Hwang, other than his chance, once again was anonymous throughout most of the game. And the only one that really wanted to put a shift in when you punted it forward towards him was Fabio Silva. But even then, like for him to have the ball to his feet and trying to create something, he didn't have the opportunity to do that many times in and around the box. The only other time he did was when he created it himself or put the pressure on himself.
With Hwang, Finn, it's almost like in that game, we'd get the ball on the half turn and it would just be like just safe to just hold the ball and not do anything. And I noticed as well with Hoover, we had the ball on a break and the ball's been bowled out to Hoover from Sarr, I think. And Tony Roberts is on the sideline going, go. And like he takes a couple of touches and then like cuts back inside and he's just like stormed back into the dugout, not happy. So it's obviously not.
And it's a long storm, isn't it? Back to that dugout, by the way.
It is. It is. So it's obviously not something tactically they're being told to do, is it?
No, Hwang as well you can highlight because he was the only one there with any pace. I think we lost. I mean, you've got Aitnoy with a bit. Semedo, you lost both of them. Trincao, not the quickest. Fabio, not the quickest, even though Dave says added a few yards, bless him. But yeah, it just felt like no one could. There was a lot of people around me going, just take someone on, have a go. And I understand the setup because like Bruno's comments after the game, sort of saying we controlled the game. In effect, we did because we stopped their threat is counter-attacking and we nullified that. They just scored another way until obviously we had to chuck players forward and then they had a few at the end. But just coming full circle on the comment I made earlier about like centre-backs and wing-back, when you've got both of them, that I think in a back five system, you can't have them at wing-back. I think they're full-backs in a back four at best with the things that they possess. And maybe, I don't know whether Hoover's big enough to be one of those back three. So again, that deal comes into question, as we mentioned, but we just lost all ability to commit someone. You've got no one in midfield, none of the wing backs. Wang didn't do it, Trincao didn't do it. So it just resulted in such a flat game. Like we could just feel it, couldn't you? What is the point in this? Yeah. There's nothing going on.
And even the central midfielders, then Donker didn't have the best of games. Neves didn't have the best of games. And Neves almost in the end was playing that quarterback role. He was picking the ball up off Cody. And he's like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? Like, we need to press so much further up the pitch. We're 1-0 down. But like you said, Dave, it was like we're trying to go for a goal and we're passing it around the back five.
There was no urgency, man, whatsoever. It was like, I'm watching the game. Like I said earlier, it's like, do we want to be pushing for Europe or not? It's as if Bruno said the last two games, actually, we're actually doing a bit better than what the club want to be doing it. We need to slow it down a bit.
Pump balls into the box. That's not what you're asking for, but it's just like commit players.
Just compare it to Arsenal, though. When Arsenal were 1 goal down against us, look at the difference in going for that goal.
Yeah.
But the thing is, and this is a stat that I think Sky Sports did into Bruno Lage after the Arsenal game. There was a stat regarding crosses. So I think last season under Nuno, we were first or second in the league in regarding putting crosses into the box. And Bruno's obviously looked at that and figured, right, they're putting crosses into the box, but haven't scored any goals, which is fair enough because we didn't score enough last season. But this season, it's the polar opposite. I think we're bottom or one from bottom in terms of crosses put into the box. So he's obviously trying to cut it inside, almost walk it into the net, which I don't think at the moment, we don't have the quality of players to be able to do that. You saw yesterday, we had 2 opportunities for me in the last 10, 15 minutes where we got the ball on the deck, played some nice football, Podence and Neto would come on, and then Jimenez, for some stupid reason, tries a back heel whilst knowing with it back to the players, straight to Zuma or Dawson, and it's gone again. Then Donker did a back heel as well. So what are we doing? Why are we trying to be? Why out of the 2 of the players in the team? I said, right, someone's tried a back heel. You wouldn't say Leander Dendoncker, would you? You wouldn't trust him to pull off a back heel. But just in general, it was a shambles, man. And it was a little bit like the Arsenal game last couple of weeks ago where we could still be playing now, and I don't think we would have scored. It was frustrating. But going back to Hwang in the first half, I'm not too sure what his role or what his position was meant to be, because unless Bruno said to him, "Oh, Hwang, go and have a free roll and just sort of roam up and down the pitch or across the pitch." Every time Marcel had the ball in a fairly promising area on the left, Hwang was just nowhere to be seen. He was like central. And for me, out of that back four, there's Zuma, there's Dawson, there's Cresswell. The weak link in that back four, I'm not saying he's a bad player, but the weak link for me would be, is it Ben Johnson? Is it Ben Johnson? Yeah.
I mean, and Cresswell,
I would be targeting him.
Yeah.
So why aren't we overloading that left-hand side?
But even like when he's running away in wide areas, it was the ball would go out to Hwang, and it'd just be like, right, I'm gonna have a couple of touches here, and I'm gonna come inside and then just give it to someone else.
Safe.
It's just not. It's like no one wants to take a risk. It's like they're playing with the shackles on. It's almost like handbrake football again. But let's talk about Fabio Silva, because I think if there's any positive to take away from that game, is the fact that I thought Fabio was probably our man of the match. Mustered up 4 shots. The one where he turned in the box, I thought was outstanding, where he got unbelievable. But we've not seen that from a striker this season. And he put himself about. He tried to peel off against, Zuma's a good player, and at times he was winning those duels, and he held the ball up well, and he was willing to pull the trigger and get himself into positions where he can muster up shooting opportunities, albeit a lot of them were blocked. But
he just looks like a player that wants to play football and wants to win football matches. And I've always said it, whenever I get the opportunity to watch him for the Portugal 21s, I thought the same. He just wants to score goals and play football. And that's why I'm sort of glad that he hasn't been loaned out. He's been given a little bit more of a chance. But I think also he's a player that needs a lot of support around him. He needs players close to him, and he needs service in and around the area. I think if you give him any space in and around the box, he's probably going to put the ball, at least test the goalkeeper, or put the ball in the back of the net. So I thought, like you say, Matt, I thought he played well. He pressed high, he worked hard, didn't really give up. Once or twice where he likes to get his body in those 50-50s, and there's a couple of times where he peeled off. I think the one where Zuma blocked it, I think Silva caught him. It was on his left foot. If that's on the opposite side, I think we've scored there. I'm not sure if it was at 0-0 or 1-0. If he spun Zuma and Dawson's the man defending there, and it's on Silva's right foot, I think we've scored a goal there for sure. But he worked hard, and like you said, I think towards the end, wasn't it, that piece of skill and around the area, the turn was like the footwork was ridiculous. Yeah, and just unfortunate there. But again, I knew as soon as the final whistle would go, I'd go on social media and he would be the scapegoat. I just knew it, because he's just an easy target.
I couldn't believe it. Honestly, if you've come away from that game of football, whether you've watched it on the telly or watched it at home, and the takeaway you've got from that game is that Fabio Silva is shit, and he was the worst player on the pitch, and he shouldn't be anywhere near the first 11. You've either A, got an agenda, or B, don't have a clue about football. Like, genuinely have not a clue, because there was 9 other players on that pitch for us who were worse than Silva, and it wasn't groundbreaking. He didn't do anything special, but to single out the lad when he's a 19-year-old, it's not his fault. It's cost 35 million. The act should be directed at the decision makers who were willing to pay 35 million for him, not him. Come on, man.
Yeah. To be fair, Sky commentators are really good. Like Alan Smith was on there, and he said the exact same thing. He goes, it cost Wolves 35 million. Obviously, he didn't choose that price tag. There's obviously a reason why the club paid that sort of money for him. And they praised him a lot in the second half as well, because he had that little bit of momentum. He had a couple of efforts on goal, a couple obviously that went wide and over the bar. But they said, like, he's lively, he's in the game. But he just seemed to be the only one yesterday. I wanted to make things happen. And I'm not sure if I would start, I don't know. I don't think there's any harm in starting him against Palace. I don't think Bruno will. But I think, it's just one of those things with him at the moment. It's just a tough decision. But I'd love to see him again start against Palace, but who knows?
Because I think when Jimenez came on, I don't think he did particularly bad. I thought he looked a bit better. Perhaps that's a rocket up Jimenez's arse he needs. But I just don't get why fans want to want to single him out after that performance. Like, he obviously got an agenda. Like, he go on to fight. I know Facebook's like a completely different place. It's full of idiots. But it's like they're posting pictures of him like 30 football of a sale, the £0, useless, can't be. It's like, how have you watched that game and come away that he's the problem out of all of that? Like, he was the only one creating shooting opportunities. So I really do not get it. But I'd like to see him start against Palace, which we'll come on to. What do you think of Bruno's comments after the game, Finn? He said that we controlled the game and hopefully play again like that on Saturday against Palace, because if that is the case, there's 2 tickets in the North Bank if anybody wants them.
Mate, that's 6. No, yeah, I can understand that. I can understand what he's saying about the control and how he approached West Ham. But I can tell you, getting onto the coach after the game and those quotes coming out, they didn't go down very well on a coach full of 60 tipsy Wolves fans that have just seen that. It's at least he didn't drop solutions, is all I'll say, because that might have tipped people over the edge. Don't think he dropped the solutions bomb, but it sounded quite similar in that you have got to address that. It's whether he was forced in, like we say with the red zone. Like, was Raul not playing very well the last few games? So did he have to make that change? Did Aït-Nouri have to not play? And then, if so, he's stuck, isn't he? Because there's no one else he could play in those positions. And I don't know. He keeps every time we lose, we said from now on it's going to be like he referenced West Ham's investment, didn't he? I don't think they even spent that much in January, and if they did in the summer, it was because they've got the Europa League as well. So it can't just be, when we win, we can go for it, and then the fans are unrealistic when we lose, because there's places where that game could have been different. But no, it's the same as always, really, wasn't it? The comments, I don't know. It is what it is for the rest of the season, I think. But I don't think we can go every time, we never expected to get Europe anyway. I think there's a realistic chance. I think West Ham are going to drop a lot of points watching that game, how they couldn't put us to the sword, get a few more. So it's not as if we have to give up on these results, like he was sort of sounding, they've spent 20 million more, so they've got it. I don't agree with that.
Yeah, it worries me, isn't it? Like, no, just buckle up. Like, he
has been shafted as well, hasn't he?
Yeah,
but we can't say every time.
He has been shafted, but you go on to Twitter, and a couple of weeks ago it was a bloke, he's an absolute genius, like, and now it's like almost quite a lot of fans pointing the finger at him. Seen people put up pictures of like him and like basically saying him and Nuno are the same person. It's just like it's no reactionary. Like, we've had 2 shit results, and I think we'll do all right against Palace, but come on, like, all right, he's not immune to criticism, but some of the stuff I have seen, he's completely overboard, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen 1 or 2, comments, and I think Wolves fans in particular are very reactionary, and people might say that about this podcast, but I think we've sort of been quite fair on the last 2 games in particular, and haven't tarred every single player with this negative brush. I think we spoke about their last couple of performances rather than their season performances, but I thought his comments were daft. But then somebody said to me, but it's, trying to keep this morale high and stuff. And I said, but there's keeping morale high, but then there's just saying something pure stupid. Because if the players read that and think, fucking hell, we played well there, are they going to know you're talking rubbish? So, you still got to be realistic. Yeah, you could say, we had good moments. I thought this, and this went well, but we've got to really improve on this, and this. It was poor today. Don't just say it was a good performance and we controlled the game, because we didn't. We controlled the game. If you look at the possession stats, we controlled the game because Connor Cody probably made about 300 completed passes, because we were just passing it around the back 5.
It was,
or back 4, because they didn't pass a Kiana.
It was 67 completed passes from Connor Cody.
Yeah, but
according to FB ref.
Put that next to Trincau's nutmegs.
But yeah, the comments
quadruple with Neves' 77 carries.
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't necessarily agree with them, but
players know when they play badly though. Players know when they've not been in the game.
Yeah.
So I don't think the players will look at that and think, well, Bruno said we did all right, so we must have done. But I think it almost, unless he's bollocking them in the dressing room, it's almost like it allows standards to slip, because he's almost saying, well, we're never gonna do as well as Arsenal and West Ham. A week ago, we were saying and this is why you don't pay any attention to the top 4 race with Wolves not being in it, because I couldn't care less. But only we were saying last week or the week before, there's a real possibility we're going to be in with the mix of top 6. Now, fast forward a week, and it's everyone's kind of been like, well, it was nice to be up there. Like, shoulda, woulda, coulda. No, there's still a possibility that if we buckle down and right the wrongs of the last 2 games, that we may get the Conference League, which I'd be buzzing about.
Yeah,
but
I think his comments again were a little sly dig at the board as well.
Was it about finances or backing or something?
Well, it was about sort of about, he says, we've competing with we competed well against the teams like Arsenal and West Ham, but look how they've invested compared to us. Basically saying, they're gearing up and they want European football, whereas we haven't been investing the same amount as money as them. So
the quote to it was exact as per at Talking Wolves was that we arrived in February 40 points, and our fans are talking about Champions League, and the real teams who have that goal, and the real teams who have that goal because they invest a lot in teams like West Ham and Arsenal. We are not far from them because we played very well against them.
I think the one thing is, and I don't think it helps because I think the press ask him a lot about it in the comments, in the press conferences and stuff. But they're obviously fans sing about it because we're in a good position. It's not like we're going to be singing "We are staying up," in the middle of February with 40 points.
40 points.
We are going to sing about it because we at the moment it's possible, but yeah, it's just one of those. It's frustrating for us as fans that we know we're in this position right now, but I think he's too focused and he keeps commenting on that quite a lot. But then he's trying to say we take one game at a time at the same time. It's just one of them. But he references that a lot in the post-match press conferences and then blames Fosun if things don't go his way.
Do you remember when a reporter asked him about getting into Europe and he talked about
it was Liam Key, on
a Marbella training camp?
Yeah.
Some bloke. Another thing, obviously you had to rotate it, and we'll come off West Ham and preview the Palace game because we've got 47 minutes in. But he's had to rotate it. You've had to switch the fullbacks out. Then Donker's come in, and everyone's moaning, "Oh, this is because of the no investment." I'm like, Fosun haven't invested anywhere near as enough in the past 3 or 4 windows. I completely agree. But as a team like Wolves at the minute, you're not going to have someone to come in for Semedo who's as good as Semedo. You're not going to have someone come in for Ait Nouri who's as good as Ait Nouri. Same for Dendoncker. You make a case for Podence. We're not Man City. And whilst I agree they haven't invested enough, I think just a little bit of perspective is needed because we are Wolves at the minute. And we're not going to have that abundance of quality for players to come in and just slot in. Who is miles off it? Marcel is miles off it. For me, Dendoncker's miles off it. But that's unfortunately just the way it is. You
compare those 3 with any other backup players in the probably, let's say, bottom half. To be fair, compare those with any other bottom half second choices. They're going to be on par, if not slightly better anyway. There are teams with much worse squad depth than us. Well, you both know we beat Palace and we'll be singing Wolves are on their way to Europe or whatever again at Molineux on Saturday. You just know it's going to happen. So it'll be back to normal, fingers crossed, at the end of Saturday.
I sort of feel sorry as well for Hoover and that, where they have to come in out the cold because other teams' backup players like West Ham's, they've probably had a kick against Bodo Glimt in the Europa League or whatever. So they've had it, and we're out the cup and everything. So to come in from the cold, it's
he's barely been in the squad though, has he, Hoover? I know he had Kerwin, but he's not even been making the squad, match day squad. So a bit of a strange one. I think it's probably telling as to what A, Bruno thinks of Johnny, and B, where he's at in terms of his recovery. With Neto's come back later and he's been chucked straight in. I think that's telling. I personally think he's going to come back and be the same, anywhere near the same player. It's 2 horrific injuries in a short space of time. But
at the same time, if Bruno didn't think he was close to, he'd surely be putting Hoover on the bench ahead of Johnny, unless Hoover is that gash in training. So
don't know, unless Hoover's had an unbelievable week in training.
Yeah.
Just before we move on to Palace, and I forgot to mention for the Arsenal game, BetMate. So the Arsenal game, there was quite a few participants for this one as well, and the winner for the Arsenal versus Wolves BetMate was Jamie Duffel. Congratulations, Jamie. He scored 60 points, well clear of everyone else, 5 points ahead of second place, and he won over 100 quid. So despite Wolves putting an absolute stinker 0 out of 10, Jamie Duffel takes home the share of the spoils. And then moving on to West Ham, Again, an absolute stormer for Budgie Blue. Second place was Quack Quack, and and third was Duck Do. So quite a theme with
Bird
ducks
theme
for some reason, yeah, or animals. But Budgie Blue won 86 quid and had 76.5 points. Second place had 67, so he's absolutely pissed it. So congratulations, chaps. Makes or it might be a woman, but it makes it makes losing
was
the
a
game.
bird.
Whee, come on. Yeah. Which makes that losing the game a little bit sweeter. Palace lads on Saturday, 3:00 kickoff at Molineux. Feels like quite a while since you've been at Molineux for 3:00. It's probably the last one of the season as well. Do you know what? You know what the Sky like? Dave, confident?
No, not after.
I bet mate team.
And
You'll see how
Watford.
confident they are.
Yeah. Not after last weekend, but who knows? Who knows with Wolves? Palace bossed us. They're one of our worst performances of the season at Selhurst Park, if you remember, before Christmas. So, I'm not overly confident, but it's one of them. I think Palace have got very decent individuals. You got Gallagher, you got Zaha, you got Elise. So it's one of them. But if we can catch them, they're a team that I would want us and expect us to beat at the start of the season. So I think we need to bounce back. If we play, top, I don't know when Semedo's back, but try and get as strong a team as possible. Oh, saying that, if Semedo's still injured, Keanu Hoover's going to play, isn't he?
Against Elise.
Fuck's sake.
No, Zaha.
No.
Thanks for watching, everybody. That's
That's it, man. I might only make it till half time at Molineux on Saturday.
Finn, confident?
No. Watford.
I
don't know whether Dave mentioned that because my Wi-Fi was on the blink a little bit, but they absolutely battered us. That Crystal Palace away was probably, if not slightly worse than West Ham for me earlier on in the season. So if they could just copy and paste what they did there, hopefully we've learned from it. But yeah, if it's Elise on Marcel, Zaha on Hoover, I think we sort of say night now. But no, surely we've learned from it, and they haven't been great. I don't think. I think recently that latest win was their first win of the year. So maybe it'll be a different Palace side, trying to find a little bit of hope. But yeah, not too confident at all. And then Watford as well. It's going to be tricky to break them down now. So
if you're sat here as talking Eagles, are you not saying, if Prudence balls onto Mitchell, if Neto's fit, if Jimenez is fit,
yeah, of
we won't
course.
have problems. Do you think they're saying the same?
Yeah. Well, you look at our league position, people, if people don't watch our games necessarily and just see that we're still sort of eighth in and amongst it, they're going to be worried about us. And I think, again, us individually, we've got the top individual players we have, and as have they. And it's just, you just got to hope that our home, us being at home, we've got the fans behind us, we can try and put out performance. Saturday, 3 p.m. I always got a good feeling that we can make something happen, but who knows?
Atmosphere has been. I thought the Leicester game was all right, but the atmosphere
it's a bit better. It's been getting a bit better. When you're winning games and scoring, it's scoring goals. You need to be scoring goals.
I think most Prem grounds are like that though. You got the odd kind of anomaly. Like Leeds is usually loud, constantly. But I think every ground in the league's the same. It's like when you score, it's for 5 minutes after. It's it's a ruckus atmosphere. But apart from that, it's pretty dead. But Dave, do you want to talk through our BetMate selections for this game? So this game is obviously on Saturday. The game closes at 2:55, 5 minutes before kickoff, and it is a £3 buy-in for this game. I'm just going to get the prize pot. So minimum payout is £150, which will pay five places, 5 players. And of course, if it goes on over the minimum participants, then it will obviously pay out more. But I will talk you through my team, and I think this will probably tell you what I think is going to happen. So I've got Jose Sarr in goal. I've got Mitchell and Ait-Nouri at the back. Prudence and Elise, Hee-Chan, Hwang, and Zaha. I've captained Zaha. I feel like he may have a bit of a field day. Your team is quite similar to mine, isn't it, Dave? But on the bench, I've got Gaeta, Sace, Gallagher, and Ayew on Andre Ayew. I was going to put Gallagher in instead of Pedence, but I thought I can't leave little Dan out, especially on who's been playing really well. But I vice captain Pedence more so out of hope and more so out of kind of allegiances to Wolves. But that's my team. I mean, I hope I finish bottom of the league and Wolves go and get a win. But yeah, I'm not feeling too confident.
Yeah. You was going to say, obviously, about the payouts. It's 150 minimum payout right now, but the last 3 games have all shot way above that. Leicester game, they paid out over 300 quid. Arsenal game over 250 quid. West Ham game over 215 quid. So we're having loads of people join in, which is class. So obviously the payout's going to be huge again. But my team, I looked at yours, man. It was very similar. Obviously, with it being right up until kickoff, I think the people that are doing quite well are changing their teams as the teams are announced. But mine is Jose Sarr, Aït-Nouri and Mitchell at the back. Elise, I've gone with Pedence captain, and then Zaha and Jimenez. I'm back in Raul once again. But that's probably the reason why I'm finishing so low at the moment.
I agree. I think people have seen, obviously, you can change your team up to 55 minutes before kickoff.
5 minutes, yeah.
5 minutes before kickoff.
Yeah.
But you got 55 minutes when the team comes out to change, and I did that against West Ham and ended up with less points than I would have. So it does work, but if you're part of Talking Wolves podcast, it obviously doesn't. But I had a couple of people come up to me at the games and stuff and talk about their betmate teams and selections and almost saying you're an absolute pony. So keep them coming. really appreciate those shouts. But like Dave said, that the payouts that we've been hitting the minimum participants and the payouts, like you said, against Leicester over 300 quid. So it's a decent little earner. If you fancy back yourself against us, there's a link below where you can join, or if you've already joined, make sure you're buying on the game. It's £3. And of course, be gamble aware. Little quiz.
Yeah, let's do it.
Quiz from the West Ham game, and then questions, and then I'm going to go and sit in a dark room and cry. So let's start with heads or tails, Dave.
Tails never fails.
Is this for the first point? I'll go ahead.
No, so we'll just do it in the similar format that we've done before. So we're not going first. It's just going to ask you both the same question. And obviously, whoever gets it scores a point. So who had the highest expected goal for Wolves against West Ham? Which player? Dave, we'll start with
you. Can't see it being many. I'm going to say Hwang. We only had the one shot, to be fair. So
I can think of his one. Neves was the only shot on target, won it. But I don't know whether the XG counts with blocked ones, but I'll go Fabio because he had a few towards the end.
Well, it does include blocks because it's a shot at goal, isn't it? It's in a position.
Fabio.
The winner was Don Fabio Silva with a mesmerising 0.4, which, if you compare that, I mean, Souček had 0.7, which is a goal. Kurt Zoom had 0.4, so he's in a steam company there. And then for Wolves, there was, and this is where it's grim reading, Max Kilman 0.1, Hwang 0.1, Trincao 0.1, Neves, Cody, Dendon, Casais, Marcel, Jose Sarr, Hoover, Pedro Neto, Jimenez and Pedence 0. So
how is Neves 0?
Yeah.
Just because his shot was so far out, maybe.
I imagine so, yeah. It took a deflection, didn't it?
No, I think he hit it sweet, but it was quite sweet.
Yeah, but these stats are as per FB Ref. So if anyone does have a problem, take it up with them, not me. Finn, you go with you next, mate. Could go to you first. Who had the highest pass completion rate for Wolves?
With a dizzy 44%, I'll
Jose
go. Sace.
Dave?
Don't like that answer.
Cody.
It was Roman Sace.
Oh.
93.7.
I was just 2-0 up.
93.7. Cody was second, 91.8. So when I did say his distribution was poor, I think that proves that it wasn't as bad as the eye test, but as per the eye test, it was shit. In my professional opinion. Who made the most progressive passes, David?
Neves.
I'd probably go him, but for the interest of entertainment, I'll go Sace again.
So, for a progressive pass, and this may change.
No, does it have to be final
this
first?
may change your answer. So I'll give you the definition first. A completed pass that moves the ball towards the opponent's goal at least 10 yards from its furthest point in the last 6 passes. Excludes passes from the defending 40% of the pitch. So
yeah.
Are you going to stick with your answer?
Yeah, I don't think he even reached the halfway line, did he say? So I'll say...
Match if you want, Finn. I ain't bothered.
No, I'll go Dendoncker.
It was actually Roman Sace.
Oh, what? Shit out.
With a dizzy 8 progressive passes.
Oh.
To be fair, though, with like Fornals was the same. He had 8. And I said at the game, it was 2 very poor teams, and I think this is kind of explaining that. Neves was next on 7th with 7, and then Pedence with 4, and I think Pedence played about 35 minutes. 31 minutes. So what's that? 2-0 still to Finn.
I'm having a Western Super.
Myself.
Dave Azapardi, who made the most dribbles for Wolverhampton Wanderers?
Successful or just dribbles?
Successful. Sorry.
NA.
I mean, he made the most attempted dribbles as well, but
can't be Kiana. Could it be Trincao? Could it be Huang?
I'm going to have to push you for an answer.
Sorry. Marcel.
Oh, my God.
I'm thinking Neto, you know, because
I was going to say Silva as well.
Yeah, he just didn't have very long, did he? But I think, Huang didn't as a Trink. Yeah, I'll go Neto. That's silly because he only played 15 minutes, but
it was neither. It was arguably the best player on the pitch. It was Francisco Trincao.
Oh my!
3 out of 5.
Solid.
What his performance level was? A 3.
Yeah, but that's still like 60%, isn't it? That's better than what he was. In 59 minutes, he made 5 attempts at a dribble and was successful 3 times. He's really good with the ball, though, like going past people, but disappointing. And the last question is, Finn, who made the most number of tackles for Wolves?
I'll say Kilman.
Dave?
I was going to match that.
You can match it if you want, mate.
I'll go Kilman as well.
You're both wrong anyway. It was Keanu over.
Oh,
he made 3 tackles.
Good shift.
Good shift. Well done, Keanu. So Finn wins that 2-0. Bit of a shit show from both of you. But Wolves had more progressive passes and more carries than West Ham in that game, which I was shocked by, considering how many times I pumped the ball up to Antonio.
Considering how deep we were as well, yeah.
Yeah. But perhaps Bruno gone after the game, logged straight into FB ref and thought, these stats here. These are going to come.
That's what I said. Dominated.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those, isn't it? Questions. Let me just get the questions up. I've had loads of questions this week, so thank you for those who have sent them in. Always appreciate those. Some are serious, some aren't. But we'll go with the serious ones first. So, let me find an absolute. Okay, so this one's from Daniel Lavia. So apologies if I've pronounced your name wrong. But assuming Semedo is out for a substantial amount of time, who are your wing backs moving forward, Dave? That isn't my solution, by the way. That's me asking you. I don't want you to play.
Yeah, me at right winger. Obviously, ideally Johnny. But it's going to be Huver in it. You can hear how overjoyed I am with that.
Well, did he say wing backs? Because obviously Aït-Nouri the one.
Aït-Nouri in it on the left.
Yeah, obviously, and then. Yeah, I don't know. Neither of them are sharp, are they, at the moment? So it's not a great situation. But I'll say the same as Dave. I'd probably go Johnny, but realistically, I think Hoover's going to get the next game.
Wolves JXP has asked, do you think Bruno's comments after the game are acceptable? Seems to me that he's avoiding taking accountability for the defeats. What do you reckon, lad?
Spoke about it a bit earlier. I think it's just him trying to keep spirits as high as he can. But if many more of those defeats do come and he's saying the same sort of thing, that's when I'll start to agree with that. But at the moment, I think it's early days. We've lost, 2 games away from home this year so far. Our away form's been quite good. So, yeah, it just needs to start learning how to. If he said to, oh, mate, our finishing was fantastic today, and that's when I'd say he's deluded. But, yeah. We all watch the game in different ways, and we don't know what he's tried to do in training. So,
question here from Richard Fletcher. He's asked 2. One about secrets of getting away tickets for games without accumulating loyalty points. I'm not a magician, unfortunately, Rich. But he's asked a good question, which I think is, it's a nice bit of analysis, but more of an opinion to kind of contemplate whether you agree or disagree with. But without Adama, do you feel like teams are far more comfortable with pressing us higher up the pitch? With Raul out of form and Podence and Trincao ball players, we face a real problem of being penned in each match, as per Arsenal.
Yeah, that's fair, but I think it also did happen, ironically, against Crystal Palace as well, didn't it? This happened a few times with Adama as well, even like Norwich. But it's fair, but I think we're probably looking at that too much because Adama's just left, if you know what I mean. But saw a stat about Adama getting as many assists in his first 5 games for Barca as the last 91 for Wolves. So,
have you watched the highlights, sir?
Yeah, they stand up.
He gets so much space compared to the Premier
easy,
League.
it? Yeah, it's mad.
Yeah. What do you reckon, Dave?
Yeah, I could say, I guess so. I mean, Leicester, I think, did it because they sat quite high. We've got quick wingers, we've got quick players, but I think...
But not Adama quick, yeah.
Exactly that. So I think with the ball, players like Podence, yes, they're quick, they can get away from the man, but not quite explosive enough as Adama. So
it's a good point.
Could be right there. Yeah.
A lot of questions around about the Trincao deal. I'm just going to ask you for your thoughts on him both as a player and whether we should take up the option to buy him in the summer for around about £30 million. Finn, I've always know what this is going to be for both of you, but
well, obviously no, but it feels a little bit dodgy, doesn't it? That like if we don't, then Barca will go, well, we're not taking Adama, and then we're stuck with him with a year left and not signing. I mean, the way he's playing at the moment, I think the Barcelona fans will be wanting Adama regardless. So maybe we'll be lucky and be able to give Trincao back and still get the Adama money. I don't know, but you can't. 0 goals, 0 assists, a few nice touches, but not looking committed. Just like we've said about Adama having space in Spain, I think it's been a real shock for Trincao that he hasn't had that, and he doesn't. His best attributes, they can't flourish, can they, in the Premier League? So it might be one that we regret, and he goes and plays somewhere else, and he does a Goncalves, and he looks amazing. But you can't spend that amount of money when Wolves are being so tight with their other deals. You can't spend that sort of money on what we've seen, I don't think.
Wanderer66 has asked the question: do you think Fabio Silva should ever wear the Wolves shirt? Wear a Wolves shirt?
Oh my god! Has he got a profile picture, man? What's his profile picture?
He hasn't. He's obviously some fat gammon sat at home.
Oh my god! Oh fucking hell!
And well, he's asked 2 questions. Do you think we'll waste 29 million we're getting for Trail Rain sign Trincao? He's put number 2. Do you think Silva should have the Wolves ever wear a Wolves shirt again? And JP has replied number 3. Why are you such a moron?
66 is probably his year of birth, isn't it? Probably our opinion. That is fucking.
It's my dad. Was
Yeah.
he? Oh, no.
Yeah.
Around there.
You know my opinions on Fabio Silva. I think he's going to be a really good player, but obviously good to see you getting beyond the team anyway. And if he does score,
slagging off Trincao, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like if he does score on Saturday, I don't expect him to sit in his seat, but he probably doesn't go.
What's his name from Arsenal Fan TV when Kane scored during the
Judges. He's again. What is your Zach has asked? What is your preferred formation? 3-4-3 or 3-5-2? 3-5-2 for me.
My opinion's changed on it. I think 3-5-2 would just look a lot more solid, defensive. But even going forward, I think as long as you've got Aït-Nouri and Semedo, I think 3-5-2. I'd like to see Neto in that front too, with like Silva or Jimenez as well.
Finn?
Agreed. He's got to have attacking wing back, so you couldn't do it against Palace now. I don't think you could do the three. Imagine that. Then Donka, Martinho, Neves, Hoover, Marcel. But yeah, I like both. There's horses for courses. I think we saw the three up front didn't work against Arsenal either time. So I'm surprised he went with the three up front for the second game. And yeah, it's good that we've got both that we can use. We just need another midfielder, and then for next season, I think the five in the middle will be the go-to.
Another last question for Twitter before I move on to Instagram. What is your favourite pre-away game breakfast?
Oh, I saw this question earlier.
I
don't really
questions. It's all because when we're playing shit, it's like kind of a nice distraction.
Yeah, I don't really eat breakfast generally anyway.
What meal of the day, David?
I don't know. It depends. If it's an early one, I'd probably like a Mackey's breakfast or something.
You're never going to go big and strong, Dave.
Say again.
Never going to go big and strong.
So I'm built like a 12-year-old. A Mackey's breakfast for me, probably. I'm not into like the spoons breakfast or nothing like that. I just have a McDonald's breakfast, probably.
Not a traditional Maltese breakfast.
No. Maltese sausage, that's about it.
What?
Yeah.
What is a Maltese breakfast if you were typical?
I'm going on like they're flipping like like an alien or something. I don't know, just eat normal stuff, aren't they? Like I have like an English.
No, you're Maltese, not me.
I have like an English breakfast still. You go cafes and you have like.
No, but do they not have like a signature dish?
Yeah, but not breakfast. They have like a Maltese bread. Like they have a nice sandwich, but it's like with tuna in. I don't know if obviously some people are funny about tuna. But they have a lot of rabbit over there. This is a bit obviously ropey. But yeah, rabbit and Maltese fatira, hopspitze, it's called. Nice sandwich.
Sounds delightful. Finn, what about you, mate? What's your favourite away game breakfast?
Breakfasts are a struggle on the coach, really, because I had to wolf something down before we get on. Like, so West Ham, we set off at 7:45. So I got a bagel down me before then. And then we arrived in London in time for breakfast, but I waited until McDonald's flicked over past 11 to go and get some chicken selects on 20% off, by the way. It's a great day. But
how do you get 20% off?
Because it's Finn from Talking Wars.
Yeah, that's full price. You know who I am. But no, yeah, it's last week you could get 20% off every day at McDonald's. So I think I went 3 times. It wasn't great, but I just like to take advantage of this stuff. But no, yeah, if you've got the McDonald's app, everyone, every Monday there's at least a discount. So there's some sponsorship for McDonald's. But yeah,
I'll bet my
I like a peanut butter bagel in the morning. The problem with sometimes we've taken them on the coach. Or like a marm, I like butter and marm. Yeah, so you can't brush your teeth obviously in between. So I'm like,
you ever tried a banana bagel?
My dad has peanut butter and banana sometimes.
Oh, I'm not a fan of peanut butter, but banana bagel's the one, you know.
Peanut butter bagel.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, peanut crunchy. I've never had crunchy, but I've sort of been reintroduced to it and quite like it crunchy.
You've never had it, but you've been reintroduced to it.
Sorry, yeah, I never had.
Introduced.
Yeah.
It's all right, mate. I can't get my words out today. I need to put my teeth back in here. I'm a big fan of a double sausage and egg McMuffin. I really am. I feel that, and this is the most we've broken down a point today is talking about breakfast, but I feel like I'm not a massive fan of Mackey's, but I think the breakfast top tier.
I love them. Yeah.
Really do. The hash browns, if they're crisp and they're golden and they're fresh, it really is liquid breakfast. But
although I saw a thing about the eggs, they're weird. I saw a thing about how they make the eggs, and it's
I don't mind that though, because the thing is, if you're on the move and you've got a fried egg and it's runny off, goes all down you, all around your mouth, it's difficult. But failing that, it'd probably be a sausage sandwich at home, sausage and egg maybe.
Right, that
peanut butter.
With no peanut butter. Never had sausage before, but I've reintroduced myself to it recently. Just moving on to Instagram, there's a few good questions. Mark Sidaway's asked, and quite a few players are asking about who comes and goes, but this is probably the one that sums it up the best. Do you give players like Sace, Marcel, Martinho new contracts, or do you start afresh in the summer, a bit of a clear out? I think if you'd have asked us that 2 weeks ago, I'd give them all a new deal, but now it's almost like, yeah, get rid.
Marcel, no. Ruddy, no. Sace, yes, because I think he's good enough to be a squad player. Oh my God, Wolves have just scored a great goal, by the way. Sorry.
Under 23s.
Well, yeah, under 23s. Obviously, Wolves under 23s have scored 4 goals tonight, by the way. Stace had keep as a squad player, but I've got a feeling he'll go. Matinho obviously had keep as well, but I've got a feeling he'll go. I think it'll be a very fresh squad next season. But out of them, Stace and Matinho. But I'd be happy for Marcel and John Ruddy to do what they want to do.
What about you, Finn?
Yeah, I'd echo that as well. Same ones. Matinho, how old is Matinho now? 35? 35, yeah. I'd probably say the same as Dave. But looks like Chem Campbell, who's just scored a hat-trick for the under-23s, could be the attacking midfielder we need. Just getting very reactionary.
Yeah. Freddie Barton's asked any ideas how lone players such as Gibbs White, Sanderson and Giles may factor into Bruno's future plans. Well, Sanderson got sent off in the week for a silly headbutt. Not been playing much at QPR.
Well, you look at the Marcel thing, you let Marcel go. You've got Ryan Aitnori and Ryan Giles are your 2 left wing backs next season, possibly. Jackie Oatley's wet dream. Gibbs White, I'm still surprised we let him go. So I think I've said this to many people. I think he'll have the preseason at Wolves. It's up to him, obviously, how he does. But he's just a player that wants to play football. So I would have him in a 3-5-2, man. I would think he would really, really do well. But be interesting to see. Interested to see how what happens with those players.
Does everyone like this? Got it in a sale. I felt
Sky football shirts, man. The Gibbs White Sheffield.
I bought it because it was in a mad sale, but then I thought, I've never bought like another English shirt, so now I own a Sheffield United shirt.
That's a nice shirt, to be fair.
You've got to get it signed, haven't you? You got to get it signed.
Well, I was sat next to Mrs. Gibbs White in Nando's the other day. I did think about that. Can you get him to sign this shirt, please? But no.
I've got him on Snapchat and Twitter if you want me to DM him. Flex.
Do you were you sat with them, or were you like just in the same restaurant? Were you out with?
Literally, so you don't know Stafford Nando's, do you? It's
I can't say how to.
Like when they have like a bench all the way across, so it's like bench one side, chairs the other.
Yeah.
So like she was sat on the table next to us, but literally like right next to us, so I could overhear everything.
What do you share a bench?
Apparently he hates Wolves. No, I'm joking.
Do you share a bench, Finn?
Yeah, it's like all the way along. It's like big.
It's a bit like Wagamamas then.
Sort of, yeah, but it's like the tables aren't joined. But yeah, you sit along.
Okay.
No, what it means is across the back there's just like a bench, and then there's like single tables and then a chair opposite. That's what he means.
Yeah, that's what
it means.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never been to Stafford Nando's, but I feel like I have now. Final question, because we're like 120. 1 minute 20 in here. Do you think the team sheet yesterday on Sunday was a message to the board? I don't think so. I just think
no.
Red zone players are
a message to the medical staff.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. It was just play to keep your players fresh. It wasn't a message to the board, no.
Finn?
No, yeah, I think it's purely medical.
Purely
I don't
medical.
Think it's purely. Imagine if he come out and said that. It's purely medical. But no, yeah, there's a title for the podcast.
Cool. That's it then, lads. We always find when we're not doing quite well that the podcast's a bit long. We like to dissect them a little bit more. So hopefully we've provided enough analysis for you to sink your teeth into. Don't forget, of course, the BetMate pot is now live for Wolves versus Palace, live until 2:55 on Saturday. So make sure you get on that £3 in, minimum payout £150. So make sure you get involved with that. And I'd say try and beat Dave and I, but it's going to be a walk in the park for you, as it is every week. But Dave, where can people find you? Should they wish?
Yes, at Dave has a party on Twitter. So DAVEAZZOPARDI.
Finn
is FINERRZ, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Hopefully we start winning again, so I reappear.
Or Jimenez starts scoring.
All that.
Are your titles going to be soon? Jimenez makes pass in Wolves 1-0 win.
I've thought about it, but I've been in this game a long time now, and I've realised that you can't even like bait it in. He has to have done something. I tried it once, I think, when we beat Watford, and he didn't score. But I thought, they don't like Watford, these Mexicans, because obviously the Troy Deeney thing didn't go down well.
He'd also rely on making a pass as well.
That would be ideal. A few headers and yeah.
I'm M Cooper Wright on Twitter, Matt Cooper Byte on YouTube. Dave, see out the show. Oh, the link for BetMate's in description down below.
Yeah. BetMate link at the top of the description. If you're watching on YouTube, obviously be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Big up as well. We haven't mentioned it today, obviously, because we've been moaning. But we're on Wolves Radio now as well. So a little segment of this podcast will be on Wolves Radio, 24/7 service on their app. If you're ever bored and you just want to listen to a few things, I think it's ourselves, the Express the Star podcast with Nathan Judah and Liam Keane, and then a few of Wolves' own shows as well. But yeah, if you're on YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Let us know your thoughts on what's going on with Wolves at the moment. If you're on Spotify, leave us a 5-star review as well on Apple Podcasts. But until next time, guys, we will see you all very, very soon.
And just before we go, big thanks to those who bought the Neves and Neto t-shirts on the Talking Wolf store. Good reaction to those, so really appreciate people who have bought those. Helps us keep going. But yeah, until next time, take care and enjoy yourselves.